and he asks for help, and somebody goes to save him. What happens with usually the one that's drowning? He's so fearful and so whatever. He grabs hold of the other one. He wants to climb on top of the one that wants to save him. And then because he does that, he thinks by climbing on top of him, I'm gonna be saved. You will not be saved. What happens many times, a lifesaver will knock you out, and then he can take you out. So it's not because you are climbing on somebody else that you will get on top. By climbing on somebody else, you both drown. So we must use the gifts that God has given us wisely. Wisely. And then the women began to sing. Saul killed his thousands. David killed his 10,000s. Saul became jealous. How can they give 10,000 to David and only 1,000 to me? But still, David behaved wisely. In verse 14 of Samuel chapter 18, David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Judah and Israel loved David because he went out and came in before them. He behaved himself wisely. And we can break this down. What did he do that made himself wise? I can think, I've mentioned, but I can think he was respectful. He was humble. He was modest. He treated everybody with kindness. He won their confidence. He never criticized anybody. He behaved wisely. And when Saul saw this, what does it mean? It meant that Saul must have looked for a reason, because now he was jealous. A reason. How can I trap him? How can I destroy him? How can I bring something against him? But there was nothing. It's the same with Daniel. The people became jealous, and they tried to find fault with Daniel. They couldn't find fault with the way he behaved. He handled himself, but they found fault with the way he served his God. And they brought this against David. We look at Jesus. They brought that against Daniel. We look at Jesus. He says, the prince of this world has come. He found nothing in me. So we must live a life of purity, of holiness, of righteousness, of caring, of love, of compassion, being wise. You know, one of the things I find interesting, and I just want to throw it out. It's not part of the message. This is extra. And I don't charge for this part. Okay, it is free of charge. David, he came to Ziklag. You know the story, when the camp was burnt, everything down. And it was a band of Amalekites. And if you remember, some time ago I preached about the Amalekite, that God said, I will wipe their memory from under the heaven. It was a group of Amalekites. So David went and destroyed them. That was the time that Saul, Israel, had war with Philistines, and Saul got killed. Saul was wounded heavily. Jonathan was wounded. I think Jonathan died. Saul told his armor bearer, run your sword through me. I don't want the Philistines to kill me. The armor bearer refused. But while David was at his camp resting after the victory with the Amalekites, a man came from the camp of Israel with a crown of Saul, and he said to David, this is the crown of Saul, your enemy, that was trying to kill you, destroy you. I found him on the way, heavily wounded, and he asked me to kill him so that he doesn't fall in the hands of the Philistines. And he said, and I killed him with my sword. when David heard this, he asked, "Who are you? Where do you come from?" And the amazing thing is, this man, he says, "I'm an Amalekite." This might be a message for another time. An Amalekite. And then David said, "Well, you're not afraid to lift your hands against the anointed of God. Were you not afraid?" And this is something that makes us stand out. This is something that made David stand out. He respected the anointed of God. This is part that made him wise. He never fought Saul, but he rather saved his life a few times and protected him. And now that this man came and said, "I killed Saul," he said, "You think I will give you a reward because you tell me the story?" He told his men to kill that man because he raised his hand against the anointed of God. This is the kind of man that David was. That's why the Bible could speak of David and says he's a man after the heart of God. And you know, David began to reign over Judah for 7 years. The Bible speaks that there was war with Judah and Israel, because there were a group of people from the Israel side that were still very loyal to the seed of Saul. There was war for 7 years. And then things happened, and David became king over Israel and over Judah when he was 30 years of age. So that means he was 23 years of age when he became king over Judah. A young man, a young boy. I'm speaking to young people here tonight, and I say to you, you have all the blessings of God. You have everything that you need to make it in life. But follow the example of a Joseph. Follow the example of a David. I want to come to Jesus Christ, and I'm going to finish. The Bible speaks of Jesus. When he was 12 years of age, he went to Jerusalem and for the feast and everything. And it seems to me that might have been, the Bible doesn't say it, but I think so, it might have been his bar mitzvah. The Jewish people, at the age of 12, they have what they call the bar mitzvah for the boys, where they are now presented into the temple or the synagogue, and they are now responsible for their own deeds. Before that, the parents must teach them whatever, but now they're responsible, and they're also allowed to read from the scrolls. So this might have been the time where Jesus was presented. I think so. In the synagogue, in the temple at that time. And everybody goes home, they are gone home, and Joseph and Mary with a crowd, they are gone home, and when it became night, they discovered Jesus is not with them. You know the story. They went back all the way to Jerusalem to find him sitting in the midst of the elders and all these people and speaking to them, asking them questions and answering them. And then the Bible is quiet about the rest of Jesus' life. But this is what the book of Luke says, chapter 2, verse 51. He went down with them, came to Nazareth, was subject unto them. But his mother kept all these sayings in her heart. Whatever she heard there, whatever he spoke there, what the priests, what the elders said about Jesus, she kept it in her heart. But he subjected himself unto them. Jesus the Christ, the Son of the living God, the Messiah. Because he's still a child, he subjected himself, submitted himself. He knew more, but he submitted himself. And this is humility. Somebody once defined the word submission. Submission. When you submit to somebody, submission. Submit to your pastor, submit to your teacher, submit to your parents. You submit to them because you want to. Even though you think you are right, you still submit to them. You know, when we get to grade 10, we know everything, right? You know everything in the world when you're in grade 10. When you're in grade 12, wow, you know everything, even more than what you did in grade 10. Then you get to university the first year and you realize, I know nothing. And when you're at that age, you know, your parents are stupid. They don't know what. They haven't been to school. They most probably just finished grade 6. You're already in grade 12. And you want to teach them. But submission says you listen to them. Even though you can do it better, even though you can read better, even though you can speak English better, you submit unto them. That is submission. And not forcing yourself. Even in the church, you might know much more than the elders, but the elders over you, so you submit to the authority. And as you grow up, you will see the Lord uses that to bless you. To bless you. Now the Bible says Jesus submitted himself, subject himself unto them. And verse 52, and Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. That is powerful. Increased in stature and in wisdom and stature. His wisdom increased, his stature increased. Stature has got two meanings there. He grew stature, but also spiritually he grew in stature. We cannot see the growth spiritual of stature. We can't see it with our naked eyes. But you can see when a person grows from 12 years old to 21 years old. You can see he grew. So Jesus grew in wisdom and in stature. And in favor with God and man. Favor with God, favor with man. How did he get favor with God? We know he submitted himself completely unto God. How did he get favor with men? I believe he respected men. He treated them with dignity. He treated them with love and compassion. He submitted unto them. Let us stand.